And we're at 1 o'clock. So, hi, Mark here from Whole Latte Love. Welcome to my live stream on how to choose an espresso grinder. Again, I'm going to wait for people to get in here a little bit. We got 76 people with us right now, and I know that people will watch this after the fact too. You can certainly do that if you can't stay with us for the whole thing. Did a live stream Friday. I woke up this morning, had 14,000 views on the flow control thing. But while we're waiting for people to show, I do want to show you that thing that I missed Friday with the Nanotech shower screen. So, Trace, I'm gonna go over here to my Pro 700 with a handheld camera. So, what I was gonna show Friday, and I didn't have the right camera on. So here's a stock shower screen. So it looks something like that. That's typically a shower screen you'd get. And if you've watched the flow out of these, you know that they tend to end up coming out in a kind of a solid stream. So what I've got up here, well, I've got a couple things. I've got the Nanotech shower screen here, and I just want you to see the flow out of that because this is what I missed on Friday, hopefully, and just look how beautifully that comes out. Again, in a stock screen, you might see a single stream here. I've also got the Cafe Works silicone group gasket in there. I really do like those. They're nice and supple. So your portafilter locks in really nice and easy and makes a really good seal. They last a lot longer than the stock screens as well. So if you can see that up in there, it's kind of a yellow one for the E61s. We have these for other group head types as well, but makes a really big difference in the flow out. Again, those stock screens, so, oops, sorry about that. Put that stock screen up there. You can see how the screen itself is kind of integrated in. It's a single unit as opposed to the stocks where it's just a screen over the top. So these stay a lot cleaner and give you a really nice flow. So let's go back to that wide shot again and come over. Also, we'll be taking a look at some accessories that we just got in. I'll get to those in a moment. From ECM, we have a distribution tool, a leveler here, kind of more of a tamper to me. These are adjustable. I'll give you a closer shot of those. We have a portafilter dosing funnel. Really nice. Got a couple Akaya cups here that we'll take a look at, Akaya scale. Also, a really nice burr upgrade. I'll get to those in a moment. This is a titanium-coated SSP burr. This one happens to be 83 millimeter. We'll talk more about that in a second. So, again, what do we got here? We got 109 people with us. Thanks for joining me. I'm Mark at Whole Latte Love. Hope everyone is doing well. You know, kind of a challenging time. We're doing our distancing thing. Usually if I was doing a live stream, I'd have more folks around here helping me out with things. So kind of running the show with the help of my wife, and we don't have to distance because we live together. Right, hon?
It's great.
It's great. So thanks to Tracy for helping me out. Again, we have 15 grinders here. We're ranging from extreme entry level, and we'll get closer to these, and I'll take you through using all these and what you should look for, up to over on the other end here, we have an 83 millimeter single dosing, dang near zero retention grinder, the Ceado E6P SD, that also has titanium burrs in it. I do have some, I want to say hello to my off-site moderators, Nick, Ed, and AJ. They can answer your questions during the stream, and I'll take questions at the end and try and do them live. So if there's a particular grinder that you want to see, or you want to hear, you want to see it in action, how it operates, do leave, put a question in there, and they are sending me the questions as they come along, so I'll be able to do that towards the end of this. We will continue doing the live streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. So this Thursday, I'm going to take a look at water treatment options. So whether you have a plumbed-in machine, and I have the Pro 700 we just did the demo on over here, that's plumbed in through an inline filter system, so we'll talk about that. Why you need some minerals in your coffee, or when you brew water, but not too much. But you can get a solution that's going to give you the right mineral level to prevent an over-extraction and also to prevent scale inside of your machine. So we've got some really nice solutions for that. So that's this Thursday. Next Tuesday, we're going to take a look at a best value entry-level machine and grinder combo. It's been very, very popular. Really, if you're just getting into home espresso, do tune in next Tuesday at 1. We'll go right from taking it out of the box, setting it all up, and making an espresso, a latte, that kind of thing. You know, if you're stuck at home and you're missing your lattes that you used to go out for, we'll show you a really good solution for that. Then a week from Thursday, we're going to take a look at super autos. These are, you know, I'm more of a semi-auto kind of guy, grinding, you know, with a separate grinder. But super automatic machines are really nice. We've had some really fantastic results with specialty coffee. So we're going to talk about that. So these are machines that, you know, they're bean to cup. So you push a button and it's going to make you an espresso, a coffee, or a latte with the press of a button, all from fresh whole beans and ground fresh, of course, for every cup. You know, if you're doing the Keurig thing, they're not my favorite. Honestly, I don't like the coffee out of them at all. But a super auto machine where you're going from those whole beans ground fresh really makes an excellent cup of coffee, and also gives you the capabilities like doing a latte at home. Down in the description of this video is my link to how to dial in grind size. So if you're picking up a grinder, the most important thing is dialing in your grind. That makes all the difference when you're making espresso. So there's a link down in the description for that, or you can watch the live stream that I did, what was that, last Wednesday on that. Beyond that, on the YouTube channel, I've done more than 1,000 videos. So there's a particular product, like most of these grinders, you're going to find a very detailed video about each of these grinders, different coffee and espresso techniques. I mean, really anything you could think of, more than 1,000 videos there. So go to our YouTube channel, Whole Latte Love, and check those out. Also, if you want some help, you know, we have a bunch of coffee experts. These are all, you know, current baristas or ex-baristas. They really know their stuff. They love talking to you guys. You can give them a call at 585-924-7170 at any time. They're happy to help you out. Or if you just go to Whole Latte Love, the website, you can, you know, if you're looking at a product there and you have questions, you can do a live chat with them. That's really neat. And you can also, if you go to the website, you can converse via email with our coffee experts if that's more your speed. So let's get into it. Topics today: espresso grinder, what to look for, considerations as far as burr size, programming. We'll talk about retention. I'm going to demo most all the grinders here. We'll also look at some accessories for grinders, like the dosing cup scales, RDT sprayers, that kind of thing. So let's take a look at those accessories real quick, and then we're going to start. I'll start with the lower cost grinders, work our way up into, you know, what I would consider the prosumer level. So I'm going to go to the closer camera, huh? And if I can find it, there it is. And so here's some of the accessories. Now, we just got these in. I know Nick, who's one of our moderators, is very excited about these. So we have the ECM. This is a distribution tool right here. And then I guess ECM is calling this a leveler. It's more of a tamper to me. So these are size adjustable. So you turn the ring here. I'm going to bring this other camera over here, huh, so we get a look at that. And set that up. And let's go to this camera. And so what you got here, these are size adjustable. So you loosen up the ring, and so you can adjust the depth here. They're nice and heavy. I got the ECM logo on the front. So you can adjust the depth here real easy by loosening the ring and turning. So that's the distribution tool. Really nice. Then that leveler or tamper, again, adjustable. So if, you know, whatever filter basket size you're using or coffee dose you're using, you can adjust for that and then tamp with that, and you'll get perfectly flat every time. Then we have the dosing funnel again, the logo on that. So with this, what you use this with a grinder or whatever, so your grounds are all gonna, whoops. Live TV, kids. So it'll stay on there and your grinds will get into your portafilter better. A couple other things we have here. I love these. These are Akaya dosing cups. There's this larger size and the smaller size. With these, what's nice about these, if you grind into these, they're designed to fit perfectly into a 58 millimeter. So if you're weighing out your grind and you want a dose report, so it goes right in like that, it's beautiful. Of course, I do love, and if you're weighing, the Acaia scales are really nice. I use this is the lunar scale. They have the Pixis as well, which is very small. These do connect to their Brewmaster app, so if you want to log your extractions, you can do that. You can set these up just to weigh, to start with time, start with the first drip into your cup, and then it'll time it, that kind of thing. And it's unhappy because I'm holding it here, so it's not tearing, because it can automatically tear as well. Love these Acaia scales. And one last thing we've got here are these titanium coated speed burrs. These happen to be 83 millimeter. And these are highly engineered. You notice with most burrs, so these are, the pattern from top to bottom is a little different. So if you look on these real close, kind of hard to see, but this is the bottom burr and this is the top burr. Most burr sets you get, they're kind of identical top and bottom. But these are highly engineered, titanium coated. They're good for 10,000 pounds of grinding. So if you're using these in a high-end grinder, they're going to last probably, I don't know, a long time. So we're good. And okay, so I see some questions coming in. So let's go back to that wider shot and come back over here. And we'll start over, I'm going to start over at super entry-level grinders. And these can kind of go both ways. Get this out of the way. So over here, what I have here is an older Capresso Infinity. So they're coming out with a new one. We're supposed to get it real soon. There's one that has a metal case. And if you're grinding maybe for brewing in a pressurized filter basket, so we can go to this one. Yep. If you're grinding into a pressurized filter basket, this could be, you could use this for that. I would not use it in a stock, filter basket that has all the holes, but if you have one of those filter baskets that has the one tiny hole and it's a filter basket creating the pressure, it's doable. Not a lot, so there's little timing on this, and you can hear that running. I'll put some beans in here in a second. So it's just, turn this dial, and those aren't seconds, they're just kind of reference. This grinder, the Infinity, is one, if you're doing, I'm going to shut that down. If you're doing, brew grinding and espresso grinding in a pressurized filter basket, you can get away with this. Now, this is what I consider an appliance grade grinder, but one of the better ones. So let me put some beans in here and we'll show you how this works. Okay. So I got some beans in there, and so grind size is adjusted here. So you got extra fine to coarse. And one thing to be aware with grinders is how many grind settings you have, or are they just plain stepless where you can adjust it as fine as you want. So this is stepped. So as I turn it, there's, kind of stops. But I'm going to leave this kind of like at a brew grind size and let that do its thing. It does, this is going to be a lot slower than other grinders that we're going to look at as we move up the line here. And I'll stop that. We can take a look at the grind here out of that. So that was at a medium setting there. I'm going to take this, I'm going to dump this grind out. Now, when you change grind size, if you're going finer, you almost always want to have the grinder running because there still could be beans between your burrs. If you're going coarser, most grinder manufacturers are going to say always have the grinder running when you're making grind size adjustment. But if you're going coarser, in my experience, it's not a big deal. It's when you go finer. So I'm just going to turn that, I'm going to turn it to extra fine, and let's see just how fine this grinder can go. Now this, compared to some of the grinders I've used, it's low speed, so it's not going to heat up the beans, so it's gentle. So I've got this now on the finest setting. Now to grind an espresso size shot, it's going to take, I'm going to turn it up just one here. And let's take a look at that. So grinding at espresso sizes, you're going to be grinding for quite a while to get a shot out of that. But if you're looking for, you know, a decent quality, this is in this low-end appliance grade. The Capresso Infinity is one of my favorites. I like it more than the Cuisinarts and those kind of grinders. So now let's move over to the Virtuoso Plus here. This is a grinder that's been around for a really long time. The Virtuoso has. This happens to be Baratza's, has the widest grind range of any Baratza grinder, which runs from 200 to 1400 microns in grind size. It also has the timing dial here. As opposed to the older Virtuoso did not have that. This has the light up bin here, as you can see. And a feature I really like is just you can set your time in 1/10 of a second increments. And then grind. So let me get some beans in there. And this is also a stepped grinder. It has 40 settings, and you change them just by turning the size here. But this one can get you from espresso size. Again, I probably only really suggest this for a pressurized filter basket, right up to a really, really coarse, like if you're doing cold brew coffee. So I'm going to put this down kind of more in the, you know, espresso range. Again, I wouldn't use this in a standard filter basket. And I'll turn this down, let's say, I've got a few grinds in there. We'll just get those out of there and out of the way so we can see what comes out. And you can see you can make the changes relatively quickly. I'm just going to let this go for, let's say, I don't know, 10 seconds. So once I get my 10 seconds set, that's fine. We'll let it grind. And you can, nice thing here is you can see the grind actually happening. See how much faster this is than the Capresso. We'll take a look at those. And that's, you know, I'm down in the espresso range there. Again, the quality of the grind out of this isn't something I'd recommend for standard non-pressurized basket, but it is very usable for a pressurized basket. So another nice feature on this grinder is if you pulse this, it'll add up the time. So if I wanted more, it'll keep adding up the time here, and then I'll know how much time. Oh, I think I've got to let it. Oh, it's going down. So once it stops here, we'll make this happen. Once it stops flashing. Oh, I think, oh, you know what? It wants me to complete that grind cycle. So we'll let it do that. But let's go to coarse with that. See just how coarse it can be. So if you like the cold brew. So to give you an idea, there was some grinds there before, but there's a really coarse grind for cold brew. So let me get rid of those. And this on these grinders, you actually can change to a finer grind. So let me see if I get that pulse running. So now, okay, so now I'm in pulse. So I say, okay, oh, you know what? I need more than that. And it just keeps adding the time. And then I know, like, okay, so that's about how much coffee I want. Now I know it takes 3.1 seconds. So that's that pulse feature. And I can keep doing that, so keep adding up time, and then I know what the time is. I really like that feature on that. So let's move over to our next grinder, the Breville Smart Grinder Pro. I'm just going to get that going. So you can see that there. So this grinder is from Breville, and Breville is really, again, an appliance grade grinder. A lot of people do use this for espresso. Not, again, my first pick. But it is relatively inexpensive. So this has different grind size. So in here, let me get you a little closer with the other camera here just so you can see what's going on. So Hun, if you could take that one. I'll do my best to get rid of the reflections there. And see if we can't get you focused a little bit. There we go. So what happens here is you turn the handle here, and you've got an espresso range, and then a drip range, then a perk range, and then all the way up. And so what you got here is 60. This is like a stepped grinder with 60 grind settings. So I'm going to go back to the espresso range. So this is you know, for a stepped grinder. And again, you don't have a lot of control there exactly to the grind size. You have some. To control how much grind you're going to get is the time here. So, and I haven't used one of these in a while. So I've got 5 seconds of grind time. Now, if I was going to do one shot, that's fine. If I'm going to do two, it automatically adjusts the time for me. And then that stays the same when you go through different grind ranges. So if I know I'm doing drip right now and I'm going to do 2 cups or 3 cups or 4 cups, it automatically changes the time based on what I had set for 1 cup. Some other nice things with this grinder, really nice lid on this. When you remove the hopper here, like so, it closes off so you won't lose coffee if you want to switch out your beans, and then it locks in place. You see down here it does have a grinds container, so it can grind right into that, and we'll do that in a second. Then what it has for espresso, here they are. It comes with these guys which slide in. So this is the, if I can read, this is the 58 millimeter portafilter. So what you do is you slide this on, and if you got your 58 millimeter portafilter, you can grind right into that here. And you can start it just by tapping like that. You can probably hear that. And you see it's counting down the time here. I'll put some beans in here in a sec. But that would be like if you were grinding for drip. It also has, if you have the smaller portafilters, a lot of Breville machines and some other ones use smaller 50 to 54 millimeter portafilters, so you can slide this in there instead. So let's put some beans in there and see what it's like. I'm going to get this back down into an espresso range here. And we'll take our time down. We'll see what this does in 10 seconds. So put some beans in. This one's fresh out of the box. So I can just, so it's got the switch down in here, if you can see that. So I just press with my portafilter and it grinds. Now we'll take a look at the grind that comes out of here in a second, but you know, if you notice, what you're going to see in here is, and I'm pretty fine. In fact, I'm really fine there. But that grind's a little clumpy and it's slow. Again, I'm probably a little finer than I would normally be. Let me do one more here. But what you're going to see in some of the pricier grinders is you're not going to get any clumping at all. And that's important. So let's try this again. So this is a very doable grinder. I mean, that was 10 seconds of grinding. This is a 20 gram basket. You know, a little clumpy there. But that is what it is. This is a lower cost appliance grade grinder. So now we're going to go over, let me get rid of those. I'm going to slide over all our stuff over here. We're going to take a look at the Sette grinders. These are by Baratza. And I'm going to move you. Let's go over this other camera, honey. And good. So the Sette grinders, there's the Sette 30 right here, the Sette 270 WI. Kind of sitting in between these two price-wise is a Sette 270. So the Sette 30, let me get you in close. Oh, and there's an accessory on this one. So let's get in close here. Let's get this on. So this is a time-based grinder. So right now it's set for 3 seconds, and my grind size is set right here. And right now, I need to run the grinder on this one if I want to go finer. And the accessory here. So this is a portafilter hook. And I don't have it hard attached, so I want to be able to take it off kind of quick. So this just goes on and allows you to hang your portafilter in there. So it's got some screws on the side here so you can lock it into place. And it would go in, and because I'm doing this one-handed, you know what, actually, let me get the bottomless, because the bottomless will work in this. So here's our bottomless in there. So you can adjust this, and again, I don't have it locked in, so it'd be more like that, so you can grind right into a portafilter. If you don't have this on, you have the hooks here. So we'll get back, I'll show you how to move these in a second, but I want to show you is it can grind into a bin here. So I'm going to have this grind for 3 seconds. And that's what that grinder did in 3 seconds. So that was probably more than what you got out of the Breville over here, the Smart Grinder Pro in 10. But I also, let's go back to that other camera on the medium one here. And I do want to go to I want to get to an espresso size here. So I'm going to let this run and adjust that. Now this is a grind straight through grinder. All the Settes are. So a little bit louder. They grind really fast. If you're in a dry environment, sometimes you'll get a little static out of these, especially when they're brand new. So there's a solution for that we'll talk about in a second. You notice on here, so just the 30 grind sizes here, but it will take the so these pull out on this model of the Sette. And then what you end up with is portafilter hooks. So you set your portafilter under and grind. And that's, you know, I'm a little too fine for espresso right now, so I'm going to make this a little coarser just so we get a better idea how that goes. And now we're more in range. So it does a really nice grind. It does it fast. It distributes well into a portafilter, but you also have the grinds bin for grinding with that. On this again, so it's just time-based, and you have one preset which you can change, and you can change rapidly. I'm running up into 5, 6 seconds there, and it's just kind of start and stop with this. So let's do that one more time. I'm going to go 6 seconds. And I'm still kind of fine there, but that's what you got at in 6 seconds. If you needed to stop, you could hit the stop button. So now let's move over to the big brother, and this has been an incredibly popular grinder. This is the Sette 270 WI. So this is a weight-based grinder, and you saw how you had the 2 forks on here you had to manually move. So this can take the bin as well. So I'll show you that. So you just set the bin in like so, and it's a weight-based grinder. I'm just going to press a button to turn it on. So this has an Akaya scale built into it. I've got it set up so you have 3 grinding presets, and I've got it set up here to grind 8.6 grams. I'm not doing time, this is weight. So if I hit start button, it automatically tears, and that's how long it took to get 8.6 grams. Let's see. I'm right in the espresso range there. Now, so you can use this for brew grinding as well. You go much coarser with this. If you're doing a lot of brew grinding, I would suggest there's an optional BG burr for this, which isn't as sharp on the burr edges for that. But let me get you closer in here. I want to take a detailed look here. So if we can go to that close up. All right, so over on the Sette 30, where you had the 30 grind settings here, and this is plastic here. Over on the 270 and the 270 WI, which I have right here, this is metal, the burr carrier. I'm going to take this out in a second so you can see how this works. And you adjust grind size here, but then you have this micro ring, so you can make micro adjustments to grind size. So this is, now we're into a grinder that can really, really dial in the grind size precisely, which is so important. And again, you had those forks you had to yank out here. This, when you go to portafilter, let's go back to that other camera because I'm going to need 2 hands to do this. So you just push in and down, and now you can set your portafilter right in there. So I've got preset in here, I think. So there's an 18-gram dose. And I want to show this to you. And we are pretty dry in here, so I might need to do some static control, but we'll see what happens. So I'm just going to press start. And again, I've got 3 presets here. So I've got a triple shot dose there. Oh, yes, please. Thanks. So I've got the double, a double for me, usually 18, 19 grams. So I'm just going to hit go. It's going to automatically tare. And it's a little over. Now what this grinder does, what the I is in the WI is intelligent. So each time it grinds, it gets a little better because it has to shut off this burr before the final weight is in the portafilter. So it kind of learns each grind cycle. And after 1 or 2, now I've been changing the grind size on this. After 1 or 2, it's going to be within 1/10 of a gram. So let's go back to the wider shot here. Oh, you know what? Stay on this shot. I'm sorry. I just want to show you how well that distributes in there. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's an incredibly fluffy grind. And it's just so nice to just stick your portafilter in. And this is adjustable here, this little arm here that retains the portafilter, and it swings out of the way. Just so nice to set that in. I'm going to run it one more time. Just set it in, hit the button, and it does its thing. And it's still learning a little bit. I'm going to do it one more time. Because usually this, after 2 or 3 grind cycles, it's right on the money. Getting closer, a little closer every time. But this is just so nice to sit in here and not have to even think about what your grind size is. So now we were getting a little static. We do have the heat running in here today. And when you're in a dry environment, that can happen. And again, I'll talk about how you can deal with that in a minute. I'll show you how this swings out of the way. So you push down and over, and then it's out of the way when you're doing into the grinds bin. Again, I'll show you this. I'm going to try and one-hand this. How the grinds bin just sits in there with everything out of the way. So that's the Sette 270WI. I really do like using this a lot. And we will talk about the little static that you can get with this, and any grinder, and how to deal with that. It's really, really easy. Something called RDT. We'll get more into that. So let's go back to the other camera. Now we're going to move down to the Rocket Faustino. I just love the look of this grinder. You take a look. It's really classy. Rocket's all about the design. This is the Faustino, a little info on the Faustino here. So first notice, if you can see, yep, you can see the top here. So touch this, and you got single and double. Oh, there we go. It was still grinding a cycle here. So the Faustino, we're starting to get into, now this is a machine grade grinder in my book, not appliance grade. And the Faustino uses a 50 millimeter burr. Grind size adjustment is stepless right here. I like this dial. We'll look at another one that's got this. Now, the way this grinder is made by Eureka, and instead of moving the top burr is what a lot of grinders do to adjust the grind size, this grinder moves the whole bottom assembly up towards the top burr. So one thing with that, if you do take this apart, there's little screws right here so you can take it out and do your cleaning. You don't have to recalibrate when you put it back together. And a couple more grinders down the line here that do that same thing. The Faustino, again, I love the beautiful display on this. So you've got presets for the double and a single over here. So and you can hear the difference in the sound there. And I'll put some beans in here as well. And I'm not quite sure why it's not, let me try this real quick, why it wasn't going over to the single. Sometimes power cycling it. Does it? And so what I really like here is how easy it is to adjust the time. So I was at 10 seconds and it's tenth of a second increments. If I hold, it moves nice and fast. And then when this grinder just sits, it just goes away until that R is in the display. So let's get some beans in this one. And I have no idea where the grind size is set on this, so I'm just gonna, I'll run this just for, let's see, 4.8 seconds. I have no idea what the grind size is set. This one, you can't go hands-free. You kind of got to hold your portafilter in place. Let me pull that back a little bit so you can see this. So that was about 4 seconds. I'm kind of fine on that, I can tell, so I'm going to coarsen it up just a little bit. And I'm going to take my time up. I'm going to go to like 10 seconds here. And again, really quick and easy to do that. Just hold. 10.5 is good. So there's a distribution, and you notice in this, like as opposed to, say, perhaps the Breville we were using, how there's really no clumping. I'm using the same beans in all these grinders. It's kind of a darker roast, stunt beans I call them, but really nice distribution. Again, I really like the design of this. And this one uses a dosing funnel. Now, some people hadn't talked much about that, and this is the first one that has the funnel. So the grinds are actually, coming out of the grinder and falling through and helping to get mixed up a little bit into your portafilter. So again, really nice design. The grind size adjustment right here. It is stepless, which is nice. And pretty much all the grinders we're going to look at from here on out are stepless grind size adjustments, so you're really able to fine-tune your espresso. So now let's move over to, we have an ECM and a Profitec. So what we have here is an ECM grinder. This is the S Automatic 64. So where the Rocket next door was using a 50 millimeter burr, the S Automatic uses a 64. As you get into bigger burrs, you get into faster grinding. Bigger burrs are generally better, generally produce a more consistent particle size. So let's take a look at, well, we'll take a listen. So this has a switch on the front here, which starts your grinding. And you can, I don't know if you can hear that running. And this has single, double, or manual. So let me just, I'm going to get the close camera here just so I can give you a little tour around here. Also, this uses a worm gear setup. So I'm going to turn this around so we can really see it. So when you adjust grind size, it's very, very precise. You make really precise grind size adjustments. Also, there's no need to lock this because the worm gear will take care of that. There's that worm gear. We'll see that on a couple of grinders coming up. On-off switch over here, heavy duty. And then we change our grind time here. This is kind of a display that if you have a machine with a PID and Jacquard PID, you'll be kind of familiar with this. So you change your times here. So time 1 would be for like my single shot. Once I'm done, it just kind of goes back. So I'm going to press both in. And if I want to make an adjustment there, so I'm at 8 seconds, I can go in tenth of a second increments for my single and double. And then what you can do, you can also grind manually on this. Let me show you how this works. So let's go back to the medium camera. And let me get some beans for this one. Hopper lid. I'm going to open that up. Let me get some beans for that. Excuse me for a sec. We got our stunt beans here. I don't have this locked in, so it would lock in. Put the beans in. And again, I have no idea where this grind is set at. But if I want to get a single shot, I just bump once. So there's my single. And if I want a double, I just hit twice. And I'm a little over in my time there as I was messing around with the time, but you see a really nice fluffy grind. If you want to grind manually with this, you press and hold these two guys. Oh, nope, this one doesn't. I thought it did. Oh. So that's I think it's a Profitec here. So that's a 64 millimeter. More about this, you saw how nice the grind came out. 450 watt motor, so this guy's powerful. 2-time presets and the worm gear for the adjustment. So let's go over to the Profitec T64, which is very similar in some respects, although it uses the dosing funnel. Again, and we'll get a look at this on this grinder and then the next one as well. So the grinds come out and they fall down into your portafilter, so they get a little bit better mixing there. Again, this grinder has the worm gear. Let's go to the other camera. I can take you on a little tour. So it's got the worm gear adjustment there. Come around back, right? It's got the darker bean hopper. And then up here to start grinding, instead of that bump switch here, there's 2 buttons. So if I press 1, I get a single, whatever I have programmed for the single time, and over here on the other side is the double time programming. So let's go back to the medium camera and we'll take a look, get some beans in here. And since these were empty, it's going to take a little bit of time for the coffee to actually get through, and I have the hopper door closed. Yeah, I'm really, really fine. So I'm going to turn our grind coarser here. And I'm still really, really fine. It feels like somebody had this out and maybe calibrated it. But you can see, you can really zero in on a grind size with this one. And I'm still really, really fine. So it's a lot of turns. So you really have precise adjustment with the worm gear. And I'm still really fine. But now it's loaded up with coffee. And it's a little clumpy here because I'm extra, extra fine, as you're seeing. The time adjustment here, very much like on the ECM. And so I'll get you in closer to that if we can take a look at that. So that's my time. So if I want to change it, I press and hold both. And then, so here's the one. I can go manual with this. So let's go back to the other camera. So now it's just going to tell me how long I've ground for. If I press and hold, or is that, I'm out of that, let's see. Control. Nope, not sure what I'm doing there, but you can grind manually on that. So let's move on to the Titan. We've got another, so this is the ECM Titan grinder, and I just love the look of this guy. It's got kind of a retro style to it, all chrome. Oh, and another new accessory we have here. So this usually comes with this type of hopper on the hopper lid. We have this new stainless one, this mirror finish stainless. I really like that a lot. This grinder goes hands-free as well. And the Titan uses a 64 millimeter titanium coated burr. We talked a little bit about the titanium earlier. They last literally forever. Let me get some beans in there. I'm going to steal some beans from over here. lid on. And since this was empty, it takes a minute or two for the, or not a minute or two. Whoa, we're set really coarse there. Well, there's a good demo of how coarse you can go with this grinder. Again, I think this was probably somebody had been working with this. So we're going to go a heck of a lot finer. And as I'm going finer, just going to keep that guy running. I'm still really, really coarse. A lot of turns on this. I'm guessing somebody had this out, because I'm just pulling these off the shelf to show them to you. Somebody, and there should be a cover over this. Somebody had this out, probably helping out a customer with how to take it apart and clean it. Nice thing with the ECM, I mean, this is just, it's really a beautiful grinder. Really, really powerful motor in here. This thing's going to go for a really long time with those titanium burrs in there. So now, we'll move over to Eureka grinders here. I've got 3 of them here. So we have the Mignon Silencio, the Mignon Perfetto, and the Atom. So the Silencio has, over here, we'll get in close here again. So this is a either manual or timed grinder, although the timing is just kind of relative, right? So if you want to grind in a time function, you just use this dial. There's no like, you know, you're going to do it for 5 seconds or 10 seconds or what have you. If you want to grind manually, you take that out, and then it's got the switch here, so when you push in, oh, if I turn it on, thought it was on, unless I have the power unplugged. Oops, there we go. Oh, that's right. You have to actually hold the portafilter there for a moment. So you can hear that grinder's running. Now, no beans in it, but it is running right now. And basically no sound. And this one can take, oh, let me get the right portafilter here. This one can go hands-free. But let's go back to the wider shot here. Let me get some beans for that. Going through a lot of beans. And it's got that square design, maybe a more contemporary look, if you will. So I'm in manual right now. So just press and hold. Oh, helps if I open the little hopper stopper there. So we're really fine. So I'm going to go coarser with this. There we go. So let me get you up close, and so you can see what this grind looks like when it comes out. Oh my God, I'm having a bean feed issue here. Oh, my hopper stopper isn't quite all the way open. There we go. Let's try that again. So that spits out pretty quick. I am a little coarse here for espresso sizes at this point. So we can turn this fine. Let's go back to the wider camera. Let me empty that out. And again, as I go finer, I am going to keep the grinder running here. Now we're in that espresso size. But very, very silent. I mean, compared to like the Sette grinder, this one is a lot quieter, but it's not a straight through sort of setup like that. So the retention is going to be a little bit more in here. Something about the Sette's very, very low retention. Then we have, so this is a very similar grinder, except now we have the timed presets in here. So you got 1 and 2 cup presets. One of the easiest to use adjustments out there. So I'm changing the single shot preset here. It goes quickly or 1/10 of a second at a time. And you don't have to like press anything to save it. You know, it's a lot of grinders you go and change the timing and you have to then press something afterwards. So this, if you know, you pulled a, you know, did your double, you're like, yeah, you know, I want 3 more grams or 4 more tenths of a gram. It's just that, and you're done. I'll run this without any beans in it. Again, very, very silent there, of course. But let's get some beans in that one. And I'll take them right out of here and put them into here. Whoops. Again, no idea what the grind size is set here, but we'll find out. So a little coarse on the size there for espresso. So let me adjust that down. Now we're more to an espresso size. And and you can always stop just by pressing again. On the little switch here. The Mignons both use 50 millimeter burrs. It's the grind size adjustment is right here. It's a little, in my opinion, on these 2 grinders, when you make a grind size change, you make a kind of a larger change all at once. So it's just, you know, if you're in espresso, it's a little touchier there. Next, let's go up to the Atom. So here's the Atom. Oh, you know what? Let me get you close just so you can get a look at the Mignons here. So there are the 2. Again, this one is manual or kind of the, you know, the unspecified time on the side. And this one is very definite sizes, or very definite time, and really, really easy to program that. Let me get you a better angle there. So there's no saving this. Once I set it to 4.8 for a single, that's what it's going to be until I change it. And it's a nice reactive touch screen. So now let's go over to the Eureka Atom. Let me tell you a little bit about the Atom here. Let me go back to that other shot, the wider shot. So on the Atom, this goes up to a 60 millimeter burr on the Atom. Again, this is very easy to program, like the Perfetto here. With 60 millimeter burr, you're going to get faster grinding. It has the same sort of grind size adjustment up here, but this gives you much finer control than I think than you get on the Mignons. You have 2 time grinding presets here, so single and double. Again, let me get you up closer here to show you how easy that is to change. And find an angle there. So I want to change my double, so I just plus, and then that's it. There's no saving or anything. If I want to grind manually, it's right here. So I'm on manual right now, and it'll count up the time. That's kind of handy too, because if you're grinding, you know, and say I want to fill a portafilter a certain amount, then you'll get the time that you just ground for. So now you can preset one of your presets to that amount to get that same time every time. It will. Oh, and this one also comes if you're grinding for other brew methods. So that's the portafilter hook. It also comes with a bin, so you can grind into a bin here. And how am I going to start a grinding? Well, you just hold this guy here, and until you press again, it runs. Very silent. But let's get some beans in there. Let's go to the wider shot. And we'll put some beans in here. I'll open our hopper stopper there. Beans in there. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to put our portafilter holder back in. There we go. Again, I have no idea what the grind setting is on this. So it's just a push in, and it's the great. Beans are getting down in there. Forcing that up so we get it through. Let me hit that one more time. Beans are working their way through. There we go. So I'll do this again. So that's a really nice grind. I'm a little coarse here. So let me make that a little finer as we go here, and I'll get you closer so you can see the quality of the grinds that come out of this. It also has a little light right here. Oh. Dump that. Okay, now we're getting closer to an espresso size. Not too much. Okay, and now let me get you closer here and just show you a little around here. So it does have the little light there. Again, it's very dry in this room today, so we are having some static. Again, I'm going to talk about how you can get rid of that. The switch here that starts grinding. Switches here for selecting if you're doing the single or the double or manual. So go back to the double. And I want to get you close in as this grinds. You can see the distribution in there. Really nice distribution. Probably a little coarse there for espresso, but that was 7.8 seconds of grinding on the Atom. Again, the Atom is a 60 millimeter burr, bigger burrs, faster grinding and better grind in general. Again, it has the bin here if you're going to grind for other brew methods. So those are the Eurekas. Again, if you have any questions on these grinders, do put them in the comments there, and my moderators will get them to me, and we'll go through those at the end. So now let's go over. Let's go to the wider camera here, and we'll go over to some Ceado grinders. So we have the E6P here, the E37S and the E37SD. So the E6P, 63 millimeter or 64 millimeter burrs on the E6P. In my opinion, this is one of the best values in a prosumer level grinder. No frills. Grind size adjustment is through the collar here. So let me take you on a little tour of that. We'll get a little closer to this. So grind size adjustment here. So it's continuously variable or stepless, as they say. You can go hands-free with this. Empty the portafilter. It has a hook there, and as you grind, so this does not have a start switch on it, so it's just here. You can hear that. It's got a nice, powerful motor. Got a little coffee left over in there. So let me get some coffee in this one, so you can hear that operate. Make sure my hopper stopper is open. Let's go back to that wider camera for a sec. This is a two-hand job. There we go. And I'm just going to I'll hit the single here. We're pretty fine there. Takes a second for those beans to get in there, and I'm going to add just a little bit more beans in there so we got something to work with here. So we'll steal those from the Atom. We'll run this one again. So I'm just going to run the double now, so that's this button. So there's our grind quality out of that. If you want to go manual, it's just press and hold both. It's back. Okay, so we're going to get rid of that sound. Okay, we should be back. Sorry, we lost our main camera out front here. They had to get some more power to it, but we're all good now. So let's continue over here. And so again, Ceado E6P. There is the E5P, which is identical to this, except it doesn't have the 2 timed grinding presets. What it has is a switch here. It's an on-demand grinder. So when you push in your portafilter, it starts grinding. But otherwise, it's identical. 64 millimeter burr, same motor in it. If you go back to the wider shot, I just want to cover how the timing is done on this. So we're back in the wider shot. So if you're going to change the time, so there's no indication as to what the time is, so you just press and hold on the one you want to change until you get that, and then you use the plus or minus to change in 1/10 of a second increments. So if I wanted to go up a half a second, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you just wait now until it kind of comes out of this mode. You'll see that with the light. It'll flash a couple times, and it means it's got the new timing there. So that's the Ceado E6P. If you don't need the time grinding, and you're not going to be doing like a lot of bottomless shots because there's a plunger here, the E5P is a good option. The exact same grinder, lower price without the timing feature. So let's go over. We're going to move over now to one of my favorites, well, two of my favorite grinders. The Ceado E37S. This has the quick set gear. It is a, Ceado hates it when I say this, a worm gear. They don't want something on the grinder called a worm, but it is a worm gear, so super precise grind size adjustments. I've been using E37S's for years. This quick set is a new thing a few years ago. Also, it has a touch screen display here, and you have single, double, triple. So let's do a little grinding with this one. So if we go back to the wider shot for a sec. Sorry, you have to do a lot of running around to get things here. But this, I think, is, nope, it's set up for this portafilter. So it does have an adjustable hook here. I'm going to grind a double shot. So to grind the double, I just select the double and push it in. And you can see this is an 83, both of these are 83 millimeter burr grinders. More details on that in a second. But 3.3 seconds to grind, that's got to be about an 18 gram double. And the grind quality out of this is just fantastic. Nice, solid, built. These two are NSF rated, so you'll find these in coffee shops, and high-end espresso guys use these two like me. But I want to show you the grinds coming out of this, so we'll get up close here. So if we can go to the close-up, and then we'll take a little tour. But that's just absolutely beautiful, perfect. You know, I love this grinder. Show you the touch screen up here. This was new a couple years ago, so you have a single. Oh, did I hit single? Oh, I still have the thing in there, so I don't think it's switching. There we go. Single, double, and they call it extra shot, but you know, I use it for a triple. I did have this set up to deliver about 20 or 21 grams the other day in 3.7 seconds. So those 83 millimeter burrs really give you a much faster grind. Here's a close look at that worm gear setup and just how precise the control is with that. Also newer in some of the newer E37S's is the adjustable ring up here. So once you get your grind set, if you want to call that 0 or 1 or whatever, it's on a magnet here. Another nice thing with the E37 grinders is it's just 3 screws, 1, 2, and then there's one back in here. 3 screws to totally remove the top burr and adjustment assembly all in one. So if you go to clean out this grinder, you never have to recalibrate it. Also, the E37S, you know, a lot of people will ask me if it's usable as a single dose. Well, I say, well, if you want a single dose, get this one. We'll see that in a sec. But it is pretty low retention. You know, it's generally under half a gram. Single dosing with it is very doable. It's not as convenient as it would be on this, as you'll see in a minute, but is very doable on it. I've got this one around, so I would always use that for single dosing. Let me just clean out this. So that's the E37S. This thing is going to go forever. Again, you'll find it in coffee shops. And I just love the grinds that come out of here. And so I'm going to show you that one more time because it's just so nice and beautiful and well distributed. And it just sounds nice. You know, it sounds nice and solid when it runs. So let's go back to the wider shot here. And we'll take a look at the E37SD, which is very similar. This uses 83 millimeter burr over in the regular S. This is 83 millimeters as well, but titanium burrs in this one. Also, you'll notice a slight difference here between the two. So over here, they both have the quick set gear. But over here, what you can do is, because a lot of people use this grinder, we had it used by the Colombian Coffee Connection at an SCA show for cupping. So if you wanted to go between espresso grind size and say something for brew or cupping or whatever your brew method is, and you need to make a quick large grind size change, I'm just going to set this to 0 so I know where I was. This pulls right out of the way. So now you can turn the whole thing and go make really big jumps. I don't know if you noticed, before when I was using the other grinders with the worm gear, if you wanted to make a really large jump in grind size, you had to do an awful lot of turning. With this, you can make wholesale grind changes really easy. So I'm going to take this back to where I was dialed in for an espresso size. Let's put that in, turn the screw down, and now I'm back there. So a couple things that come with this grinder. It's got a WDT cup, that's White's distribution technique. So you can grind right into the cup and then use that to dose your portafilter is what some people will do. And you can also use this for spraying beans. And so this is, I was going to talk about this earlier. I'm just going to put some beans in here. So if you've got the static issues, we like the RDT. So it also comes with an RDT sprayer. Oh, and it also comes with a dosing funnel. It's got the Ceado logo on the front. So if you're having static issues, or if you're using like a single dosing grinder like this, if you just wet the beans, it takes care of static and also helps to get all the grounds out of the grinder. So all you do is take your beans and give them a spray. And I like to shake and stir a little bit. And with this grinder, it's just on and off. So there's just an on button here. So the grinder is running right now. I'm going to be quiet for a second so you can hear that, that's what you hear with this. And I don't know what my weight of beans is in there. So I'm going to use the dosing funnel here. Pour my beans in. The grinder's already running. Then once I hear the beans are kind of done, I just tap it and that gets out any of the excess grind inside. And I've done a lot of testing with this grinder. And if you put, say, an 18-gram dose of beans into here and you give it a spray, which adds about 1/10 of a gram, you're going to end up with 18 grams in your portafilter. So very little grind left behind. And again, I probably had 20, 22 grams of beans in there. But it does a really, really nice job. Very easy to just make tiny, tiny changes to grind size here. So let me get the other camera. We'll get you a little closer here. Show you this. So this comes right off. Unfortunately, the bellows here does not fit on other grinders. You can see how this is a little different here. There's that where you can change, so if you get set up, you can say, okay, that's where my coffee was dialed in at a 1. You can leave it right there, and then as you make tiny, tiny grind changes over here, you can get back to that spot if you want to really easily. The spouts are just a little bit different. There's a little rubber cover over the spout here. On the E37S, there is not. You got the titanium burrs in this one, and again, it comes with the ring, the sprayer, and the cup, wherever I put, oh, there's the cup. The cup here, which does, so if you're grinding for other brew methods, makes it really handy. You can grind right into this cup and then dose from there. So let's go back to the really wide shot. So that's kind of taking you through 15 different grinders. I'm sorry, some of these I just pulled off the shelf this morning, so they were dialed really coarse or super, super fine. If you have a specific question, take a look at those right now. I'd be happy to try and answer those. Hopefully my moderators have been helping you out here, so let's see what we've got. So what we've got here, Mark, we have, oh, Mark is from Espresso TV. I've seen a lot of your videos. I know you spent some time with one of my friends, Michael Huck, so a shout out to you. on Espresso TV. And let's see, David Hunter, Mark, question for you. What's the term for finding your grind size? I forgot. TJ Sullivan, doing my homework. You know, for me, it's DIY, dial your own grind. I know I asked that. I'm looking because I get asked so often, you know, what grind setting should I use? And I can't possibly tell somebody what grind setting they should use with a grinder because if your dose is different, if your coffee is different, you know, if you have, we're running this long-term thing. One of my moderators, AJ, is running a long-term thing where we took a really fresh coffee and see what happened with the extraction over 30 days. So he's doing an extraction a day with his coffee and see where it goes. And with a really, especially really fresh coffees like that, it changes almost every day what you get. So you need to, you know, be adjusting your grind. But if somebody out there has a great term, I was looking for this term to use in the comments to say, I can't tell you what grind size, you have to dial it in yourself. I mean, I went through like DIOG, dial in your own grind, you know, something like that, some kind of acronym. Tracy has an idea? Dig. Dial in grind. Dial it in. But I get asked that all the time. And you know, if you're asking that, you really need to watch a video on how to dial in your grind size because it's not going to stay the same anytime you change a coffee or as you have a really fresh coffee and it ages or you change your dose or some other variable, you're going to need to change your grind size. Let's see what else we have here. Doing my homework on a higher end grinder for an ECM Synchronica with flow control we were about to buy. Pros and cons for a single dose higher end grinder versus a non-single dose grinder. Thanks for any advice. Well, we just went through, you know, the E37s here. One is, you know, just the regular, one's a single dosing, the SD. Both have the very precise adjustment. You know, I think if you want to do single dosing, and you want to be sure you're getting just as much fresh coffee every time, you know, you really want to go with the SD grinder because you're going to leave behind next to nothing in the grinding chamber. In the S, I did tests in the past with this, and if you single dose it, you can, but it's generally going to leave, you know, somewhere around 0.3 to 1/2 gram. It's going to depend on the coffee, depend on whether you're RDTing it beforehand, but it doesn't have that bellows to really push out the extra. Also, the titanium burrs in the SD are more slippery, so the coffee doesn't tend to stick to them as much when I've opened them up and taken a look. You know, it really depends on how particular you are, especially if you're going to use a grinder for other grinding purposes. I would definitely look at the SD because you're able to change that to brew grind size really quick as opposed to the other one with the worm gear. You're going to be making a lot of adjustments. If you're espresso only, the S is an option. It's not going to be fun or as hands-on to use as the SD, but it is doable. So let me see if we have any more questions here. And let's see. Can any of the Ceado grinders, Sherry asks, can any of the Ceado grinders be modified to be shorter? My cabinet, it goes under, is only 16.25 inches of space. Well, it was many years ago because the hoppers that used to come on Ceado grinders used to be like up to here, and we did what we could with Ceado to get them to give us this shorter hopper because they were just so used to making them for, you know, espresso bars where they want a lot of coffee in the hopper. You know, I'll tell you, I did have I don't remember the measurements off the top of my head. Sherry, you said 16.25, and yeah, we're at like, you know, 17.5 is what I'd give these. The SD over here, a little shorter, but that's about as low as we can go. You know, you might find a hopper from another grinder, and maybe if you give our tech support a call, maybe they're familiar with an even shorter hopper that would fit. I don't think I have any of them here. You know, certainly on the Eurekas here, they're shorter, and we do have those available separately, but I know for a fact that the throat on this is much narrower than on the E37 grinders. Let's see if I got maybe one more question or one or two more questions. Mark, now that you are with the Sette series, could you tell us when and when not to use the shims that come with the Sette models? I sure can. So the shims, and I actually have them out right here behind the grinders. So when you get a Sette grinder, you're going to get a little packet that looks like this, and it's got a couple shims in there, and it comes with the tools to do the change. These are for after break-in, and I believe, because I was on Baratza's website the other day, they recommend, you might want to take a look if you're not able to get fine enough. It may be time to shim, and that's generally after about 8 pounds of coffee, so it's just a break-in that's associated with the Sette grinders. But that comes with those grinders, so they are for getting finer as a grinder breaks in. So I hope that answers that question. Let's see if anything else here. Okay, so that's where we are. Let me just kind of wrap it up and say the reminder, on Thursday we'll be taking a look at water filtration options for plumbed machines and reservoir fed machines that are going to, and that's at 1 o'clock on this Thursday. That'll get you the right amount of minerals in your coffee without causing scale. We've got options for both reservoir and plumbed in machines for that. Then next Tuesday, a best value entry level. If you're just getting into espresso and you want to see a machine that's an incredible value that you can take right out of the box along with a grinder that works really well with it, we'll put those two together. We'll take them out of the box, set them up, and get them running to show you how to make espressos and lattes at home and more. And then a week from Thursday, we're going to take a look at specialty coffee and super automatic machines. So those are bean to cup machines using some higher end coffees. We've had really wonderful results with that. If you're dissatisfied with the coffee you get out of the plastic cups in a Keurig like that, you're going to be able to drink much better coffee with a bean to cup machine and press a button and get a latte if you want. There's other options in there as well. They're cheaper, where if you want to froth yourself for your lattes, or you just want to push a button and have a cup of coffee made for you, kind of like a Keurig does, except from fresh beans. So we'll be doing that. So if you're watching this, if you're not on a live stream, use the comments. If you're watching this after the fact and you have any questions, or I maybe missed a detail here or something, just ask in those comments. I do look at them. I do check our thread over in the marketplace on Home Barista. The Whole Latte Love, we're open and live streaming. I check there as well for questions. Until then, let's see. Oh, one last thing. I do thank you all for watching and for bringing those questions in. I do love talking to you guys and helping people out. Again, any specifics, ask away. I'll answer. I hope everyone is doing well as we go through what we're going through right now. And maybe you got some more time to spend with a coffee hobby. That's great. I know I do. I want to thank Ed and AJ and Nick for moderating the live stream, and of course my wife Tracy, who's sitting over here switching the cameras for me. I do apologize for our loss of power there when we lost our sound there for a minute. But thanks for watching. All I can say is take some time, enjoy your favorite coffee or espresso, and I hope you'll come on back soon for more of the best on everything coffee, brought to you by Whole Latte Love. Take care.